I have a midterm in 3 hours that I forgot about, so let's make this quick. Hey guys, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the anti-haul of May. May is my birthday month. Yes, I'm claiming the entire month. And in honor of my almost 2 decades of being on this earth, I wanted to do a little birthday giveaway. So everything you see on screen here will be in the giveaway. We've got some Kaleidos, we've got some Makeup Revolution, we've got some Midas Smoky Glow, we've got some glitter, everything in there. This is also kind of like a very late 35,000 subscribers giveaway, so the link to enter that will be down below, but that's not what you came for.
Folks.
Obviously, there have been fewer new releases, which I've been very glad to see. A lot of brands have stopped shipping. I believe ColourPop just recently started shipping again, so we can expect to see them maybe coming out with new products soon. But for the most part, it's been a pretty quiet time on Trend Mood. But there have been some new things I've wanted to talk about, and I have a lot of thoughts about all these new things. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, but before we start this video, I want to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where you can browse through thousands of online classes for creative, inspiring, curious people, which is all of you guys. Especially during quarantine while I've had a lot of free time, I've loved just exploring different topics on Skillshare and really ramping up my use of it. First of all, I love that it's ad-free because I cannot stand watching Paula's Choice ads on every single YouTube video I've ever clicked on. So that's great, but I feel like you can get anything from like a really long sit-down class to bite-sized videos that just help you learn about things on the go. So as a reminder, I released my class last month on Skillshare, but it's called Beauty Content Creation, and it's a 25-minute class, so pretty easy to fit into your schedule if you want to watch my class. But the one I want to recommend this month is How to Program Your Mind for Success and Think Like a Billionaire by Brian Gare, who's an entrepreneur. I don't think any online class is going to be the sole reason you become a billionaire, but I have found this class really inspiring in just getting me into a mindset of here's how I can be successful, here's how I can execute a plan and plan out my life and be productive. And it especially has some really good tips for study motivation, which I've been struggling a lot with this quarter. But the first 1,000 people to use my link down below will get 2 months of Skillshare Premium on me. And using Skillshare Premium, you can watch my class, which is on Premium. Sorry, I have to plug myself every like 20 seconds so I get uncomfortable.
I'm not like other girls.
I've been working with Skillshare for almost 6 months now, and I've been using them for longer than that. So if you want to support me and try 2 months for free of a really amazing platform, link down below. Without further ado, let's get right into the anti-haul. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Full details of this look should already be on Instagram. I'll talk about what I'm wearing later in the video as well, because it does pertain. But yeah, get your drinks, get your nibbles. Let's roast products. Alright, let's do a little exercise. I want you to close your eyes and think of a palette that has a really fun, unique, fresh color story. Okay, cool. Notice how you didn't say the Norvina 4. So the Norvina sub-brand of ABH is coming out with their Norvina Volume 4 palette. If you see me looking down, I have everything on my laptop right in front of me. Looks like it's just adding on another kind of like pinky purplish toned and neutral color scheme onto the big palettes from the Norvina collection. I'm actually wearing the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette on my eyes right now. And this kind of, I feel like, looks like a shrunken down version of this Norvina 4. If you have this palette already, I definitely don't think that you need the Norvina 4. There's like a few more purples in there, but overall it's a very like neutral and kind of pinky tone palette. I feel like this really gives the vibes that this one has. I really don't feel anything when I look at this palette. I've tried the Norvina formula before, and while it's decent and I think it's okay, it's definitely not the same formula of the Anastasia eyeshadows. And I love the baby pink packaging of this. I think the color scheme is actually really pretty, but it is too similar to the Norvina palette for me. I feel like with bigger palettes like this, it's kind of brands screwing themselves over because it's really hard to create a curated, inspiring, and cohesive color story with that many shades in play. I feel like there's also a way to throw in like a kind of weird punch of color that doesn't necessarily go with everything else in a way that makes sense, but throwing in this kind of like random lime green / yellow shade, I don't feel like it was really worked in. And I would say of the 4 Norvina palettes that they have in the collection, this one is the one that is prettiest to me, but I still don't want to buy it. While we're at it, I guess we'll talk about the other Norvina release as well. So these electric cake liners, which I have seen all over Instagram, and I've got to say they look beautiful. Do I think that they stole the packaging from Melt?
Yes.
A little bit, but it's liners, so I don't know. I don't really feel anything. I truly don't. Like, I feel so dead inside. I think these are beautiful, and from what I can tell, the formula seems really, really good for creating very like fun artistic looks. So these would seem like they're right up my alley. I don't really wear eyeliner very often. I've actually gotten very much into doing like liner with eyeshadow. That's something I've been really enjoying lately. So instead of using these as liners, I would rather actually go in with like a white concealer or like a white eye base and then pat on a colorful eyeshadow on top of that to kind of create a liner. But I think I would really enjoy using these in kind of like artistic makeup looks. However, I have this $15 CC Beauty Flash palette from Amazon. This I'm never going to go through. It's deep, deep pans. These are really, really pigmented. Like, for me, this fills the niche, and because they are like face paints technically, they're a lot more emollient than a typical gel liner would, and that's kind of the reason why I was interested in these Norvina cake liners, is because they seem to apply without any cracking, but this does that too. A lot of people were also talking about the price. It's $30 for each trio of eyeliners. I don't necessarily think that's awful in terms of like $10 per eyeliner, and these do seem to be a very unique formula. However, it is kind of a splurge, especially considering that I have a fairly similar product that I can use in similar ways for a lot less money. This Melt Cosmetics 420 palette. How rude. So in those days leading up to April 20th, as Melt was kind of like sneak peeking their new collection, I was both excited and also filled with dread, because I was like, I don't want to love this palette so much that I just need to spend the money on it right now. And when they finally released the pictures of the palette, I was like, okay. This is my Gemini palette. I love my Gemini palette. I use my Gemini palette a lot, and they still have the Gemini palette available. So I would see how this would make sense if they had discontinued the Gemini palette and then come out with this as kind of like a revamped replacement of it. To me, this looks like exactly like the Gemini palette, maybe with a touch of the Rustic palette in there a little bit, but it still looks like it's got the half kind of mustardy toned grungy neutrals and half greens. I don't really see the need for this in anybody's collection if you've already got the Gemini palette. I think it's pretty, and I think if you didn't already have Gemini, maybe get this one if you like the color scheme a little bit more. And then the collection also includes 2 gel liners. These look beautiful, but to anybody who's considering getting these, I have tried the Melt liner formula. I got the Cultura Ultra Matte gel liner from the Amor Eterno collection, and this color killed me. Had I not already tried this liner, I might have bought the olive green liner, but again, I don't really use liner that often, and in terms of like liner formulas, this really isn't that special to me. This one I felt like dried down to be kind of crepey in texture. Interesting. So, Kaja, one of my favorite brands at Sephora. For me, a gimmicky product is like just unnecessarily kitschy, but it actually either inhibits or just doesn't really enhance the user friendliness of the product. And the Kaja cheek stamp blushes, I think, are a perfect example of that. These have like a stamp on them, and it's a cushion blush, and you're supposed to like, but I really don't like the way that this applicator dispenses the formula, and then the formula itself is not my favorite cream blush formula. But they're coming out with new cheek stamps, they're coming out with bronzers and highlighters. And this was pretty interesting to me. I was more so interested in the bronzers than the highlighters, because I don't know, I'd like to try out a cushion type bronzer. I don't think I've ever tried anything like that. And I gotta say, the price is kind of deceivingly low, because it's $24, which is very affordable for like a Sephora / like high-end makeup product. However, the cheek stamp blush is also $24, but I feel like the amount of product you get in here is like egregiously low. You're really only getting the amount of product that fits inside of this sponge. So that's kind of like my main reason why I don't think I'll be buying these, is just because even if I did end up liking the bronzer, which I'm not sure that I would just because I didn't like the cheek stamp blush, if I liked the bronzer, it would be gone in like a week? Probably less than a month of regular use. I don't know, that's the most positive I can be right now. I believe it was the wise sage advice of my queen Nisi Pisa who said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't need Gucci makeup. She knew who needed to hear it. It was me. I'm that bitch. A big trend that I've seen recently on Trendmood have been like very high profile luxury fashion houses coming out with makeup lines. Personally for me, I love luxury fashion, bags, everything. And I feel like these brands coming out with makeup products kind of give people a way to pick up something from that brand without necessarily spending $3,000 on a handbag. So Gucci's coming out with these beautiful pressed powders. These compacts are so stunning. Dolce & Gabbana's coming out with something that has really beautiful packaging as well. And then earlier this year, Hermes like literally broke the luxury community on YouTube, which I've been watching for like a couple months now, because they came out with like a line of lipsticks, and that's Hermes's first foray into like makeup products. And those have been sold out despite having like a very mediocre formula. So yeah, people do buy these products. I was like, does anybody actually buy these like really obviously overpriced luxury makeup products? They do. It's really less so aimed at us in the beauty community and more so aimed towards like people who are into like luxury fashion and stuff but can't necessarily buy like the handbags or the small leather goods and stuff. So I guess the main thing I have to add to this conversation on these products, especially as somebody who does really love luxury fashion is if you were considering buying these because you wanted to have like an item from Gucci or something, I would really urge that you don't spend the money on this type of product and instead just think about all the money that you could save if you don't buy all these like luxury makeup products trying to fill a void of luxury products in your collection. Save some of that money, and I'm not saying that saving like $70 on this powder is going to immediately be able to get you a bag, but if what you're wanting is an item from one of these brands, I think it's so much more worth it emotionally and financially to just save up that money and invest in the actual thing that you want rather than like filling up your home and draining your wallet with smaller purchases that may seem more affordable in the moment but over time add up. So next up on my list, I had luxury makeup as like a broad category on my list, but next up is stupidly shaped palettes. Glamlight kind of kicked off this trend last year of like food themed palettes and like weirdly shaped palettes, but these two palettes I wanted to talk about are not from Glamlight, they're from two different indie brands. So first is this Banana Split eyeshadow palette from Sugary Cosmetics, and this I thought was Glamlight when I first saw it because it just looks like typical Glamlight fashion. I just think this is going to be a bitch to store no matter what size collection you have, no matter if you have like your IKEA Alex drawers or if you store all your makeup in a bin. It's gratuitous, I feel like it has a lot of wasted space and therefore a lot of wasted like resources, but I would much so prefer like a typical ColourPop rectangular palette with like really beautiful outer packaging on it with this kind of ice cream aesthetic. I think that would be so much more effective. The color scheme's pretty cute. There are two yellows that look almost exactly the same, so I wouldn't really buy this palette for the color scheme either. I feel like I've got other things that fill the same niche. And then this next one is actually one that a lot of you guys tagged me in and thought I would buy because it's from Makeup Scientist Cosmetics. And segue, I took it as such a huge compliment that you guys like tagged me in this palette. It's kind of weird because even though I'm like double majoring in two different STEM majors, I've never really self-identified as a scientist before. I have to say I really love the names. There's a pink in there called Period. After the periodic table I would assume, but also like period. It does look like they spelled it wrong though. They missed the T on the end. I think this is gorgeous and I would love to see more products from this brand because I think this is like an aesthetic that's very up my alley. But again, I think the shaping of this palette is kind of what puts me off of this one. It's probably a lot easier to store than the ice cream palette, but still, I don't know, if the palette's not a rectangle, I'm generally not going to be interested. You can call me boring all you want, but to me that's just me knowing what I like and me being practical with my money. There are two new releases coming out from Hourglass in the Veil collection. So we have the Veil Soft Focus Setting Spray, which it's supposed to be a radiant setting mist, and it looks by the bottle to be kind of like an aerosol spray, or at least a very, very fine mist.
I feel very attacked!
I want to like see this in person and spray it on my face in person because there's nothing I love more than testing out spray nozzles in Sephora. This is gonna be hella expensive, I can already tell, and also I'm pretty happy with my setting spray family. Setting sprays right here, we got setting sprays right here, and they're also coming out with a Veil eye primer, which I thought was interesting. Hourglass is not really known for their like eyeshadow products, so the fact that they're coming out with an eye primer was interesting, but they're also known for their complexion products, so maybe it makes sense, I don't know. For me, I just think this is gonna be way too much money for me to spend on an eye primer. Most of the time, eye primer is something that you can get a lot of product for not a lot of money with. So the P. Louise eye primer, which I don't really buy from P. Louise, but that eye primer is I think like a half an ounce for I think like around $15 US. Or the ABH eye primer, even though I hate the packaging of that one, it's like I think $20 for the full size, and you're getting a lot of product in there and you need such a small amount. This seems like it's going to be a bit more of like a sheer eye primer, which I can sometimes appreciate, but if I was going to use that, I would use an Urban Decay Primer Potion, which is a lot less money than this. Next on the list we have some absurdity from Charlotte Tilbury. The Charlotte's Magic Lip Oil Crystal Elixir. I just have to do the accent, I'm so sorry. Also, have you noticed she always speaks of herself in third person? Anyways, it's a lip oil. There are plenty of like fancy ingredients in here that they have in the description box of this, but I skipped right past that because it's a lip oil and it's $40.
40 doll hairs.
For a lip oil.
Imagine how tired we are. Imagine how tired we are of it.
40 is a number, but so is 911, and this is robbery. I'm going to report it. If you're wondering, what is your alternative to this? AOA Studio Oh Honey Lip Oils. These are $1, and they're amazing. Or if you don't want to spend $1, maybe you want to get something high-end but still really good. The Kopari lip oils are amazing. I'm truly befuddled. I am so befuddled by that. Speaking of overpriced, although this one's a little bit less overpriced, but still kind of too expensive, Glossier's coming out with a hand cream, and I I wish I was somebody who remembered to use hand cream because hands are, along with your neck, one of the most neglected areas on the body, but also one of the first to start showing age signs. So obviously my hands are, like the rest of my body, Jared 19.
And I never fucking learned how to read.
But I'm trying to, like, use hand cream more often, especially because I have been washing my hands more often. It's really good to keep your hands moisturized and hydrated because it's skin and it does wrinkle and show age over time. The main reason that I'm not getting this hand cream is because it's $18, and that doesn't seem like super expensive in terms of like Charlotte Tilbury selling a $40 lip oil, but for a hand cream I think that's pretty pricey. To be honest, I feel like a lot of the time hand cream is just like body lotion in a smaller tube. There's not really a lot that differentiates the ingredients of hand cream with regular body moisturizer and isn't $18 for a small thing of hand cream. Okay, we've established the word of the day is befuddled, and that is how I feel about this LA Splash Hunger Games collection. Hunger Games plays as reruns like every week on TV. I don't understand, bitch. I don't understand. I'm super confused as to why this is coming out now. They could have done like a big 12-pan eyeshadow palette with the districts as colors. I think that would like actually kind of make sense. These are like, there's a beige palette and there's a kind of like weird capital themed makeup palette. I don't really think of the Hunger Games as a movie known for makeup other than like the makeup that they wear in the Capitol. And then the colorful side of this collection is called the Capital Couture. So we're just gonna like celebrate the autocratic government? I don't know. Huda Beauty is coming out with these diamond hydrating lip balms. If they'd come out with lipsticks in this packaging, I would have like actually bought a couple shades. It's kind of beautiful, like iridescent white, off-white packaging. Stunning. I have bought a fancy shimmery lip balm in fancy packaging. Never again. Never again, I tell you. These in particular, I really don't think that glitter needs to be in your lip balm, and every single shade of these looks exactly the same on the lips. So in this component, I would love to see them come out with hydrating lipsticks. They have like those like power matte lipsticks, which are, they're matte. I'll give them that, but you don't need a $25 shimmery lip balm. Milk Makeup is coming out with this Kush Triple Brow Pen, and this interested me. They're definitely jumping onto the kind of like feathery brow train, which I love a good like feathery soap brow. You can obviously like use soap, but this is actually meant to individually draw on brow strokes. So if you don't actually have like thick brow hairs, this type of pen can be really, really good to get that kind of feathery brow effect. I won't be buying these mainly because they're $22, but also I have a pretty good dupe that I do enjoy. This is the Lottie London Arch Rival Brow Pen, and it's pretty much the same thing. Got actually 4 instead of 3 brow hair stroke thingies, so it's really easy to just kind of sweep this through and get a nice long lasting but really beautiful natural brow effect. So this is a great alternative. Obviously you don't have like marijuana in them, but that's not going to do anything to your brows anyways. Wet n Wild is coming out with a new collection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 palettes. They're little 4-pan quads, which I think are actually really cute, and they seem to be like kind of monochromatic as well, maybe kind of color poppy. I'm not buying them for a couple different reasons. One, I don't like Wet n Wild's eyeshadow formula. I think their eyeshadow formula is not good. I'm also not buying these because they have pressed glitters in them, and pressed glitter is not always a like deal breaker for me, I would say, but Wet n Wild's pressed glitters I've tried before and they're awful. If you're wanting to try colorful eyeshadows from Wet n Wild, I've heard good things about the Bretton & Rock palette, but I don't think that these are a good place to start because they're pretty much like half pressed glitter. This I just want to talk about briefly. I wasn't going to buy this anyways just because I don't really buy from Maybelline, but Maybelline is coming out with their Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation in a squeezy tube plastic bottle. Who asked? That's all I have to say. And then the final thing is actually something I was really, really interested in buying, but then I realized I have something very similar. NYX is coming out with the Bear With Me gel blushes. But I have something very similar from Paul & Joe, and these are the Paul & Joe gel blushes. Very similar kind of springy jelly texture, beautiful, beautiful cream blush formula, and these blend out to be so, so stunning on the cheeks. So I talked about these very recently in a recent video. I think it's the PR I wouldn't have bought on my own, but I'm very glad that I have now. And I have 2 shades of these Paul & Joe blushes, so for that reason, I definitely do not need the NYX one. But if getting these would be hard for you and getting the NYX one would be easier, I would say maybe go for it because it seems like a very similar vibe. Alright, and then I like to do this at the end of my anti-hauls, but just to inject a little bit of positivity into the anti-haul, I like to give 3 products I am kind of interested in. Doesn't mean I'm going to buy them, but I am, like, I don't have a problem with these and I would buy them. The Fresh Rose Petal Soft Lip Cream looks beautiful. Really want this one. This new Essence collection called the Bronze This Way. I think the bronzer looks really cute, and I don't always love like speckled cheek products like this where you have multiple shades within the same compact, but I feel like for this I wouldn't really mind, and I think it's a cute little idea. And then finally, I wasn't expecting Tarte to come out with anything I'd be interested in, but they're coming out with a Hydro Concealer, which is a medium coverage concealer with like hydration in it, which sounds like everything I want in a concealer. It's also $24, and maybe it's just because the last concealer I bought was the Hourglass one, but that's like pretty affordable for a high-end concealer, and I would definitely be willing to test this one out. Alright guys, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this month's anti-haul in the best month of the year. Thank you again so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. I love working with them, and if you want to support me, please go ahead and test them out using my link down below. What else? My giveaway will be going on for a little bit, so make sure you go ahead and enter that down below. It's completely free. And that is all I have to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed down below and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and the Tickety Talk. And if you made it to the very end of this video, you get the bonus meme. Love you. Bye.
This man came up to me, he would get slapped in the face. But if this man came up to me, I would take my pants off so quick.